Hey, Corey from aquariumcoop.com. Today I want to talk about pre-filter sponges. Now, you may have seen one before, maybe you haven't. Let me explain what they are. Let me show you what they are. So these right here are all pre-filters. They go on the intake where it sucks in water on a filter. It could be a canister filter, it could be a hang-on back filter, maybe a little internal filter. There's some weird combinations there, but the goal with these, they're all different size. You might need a bigger or smaller one depending on what you're doing. The goal is that we pre-filter water. So water's going to come through here, but typically on an intake, so would fish food and maybe baby fish and shrimp and leaves from plants and all that kind of stuff get sucked up into that filter and rot or get killed and that kind of stuff. So we're trying to prevent that or pre-filter the water. So let's say we had a big canister filter. We could put this right over the intake. It's got a hole just like that. It would hang on there. And you don't want to shove it down all the way to the bottom. You want the intake to be just barely on there so it could suck water in from all over evenly and not get clogged up. Now that's a very important thing here. Because we're pre-filtering the water, by definition, filtering, it's going to filter out stuff. It's not going to filter out the super fine particles, but anything moderately coarse. Big pieces of fish poop, leaves, mulm in general, right? So this is what we've had made. We actually had this designed by my specification. It's very coarse. You can see the light through it a bit, right? This goes on something that's going to move a lot of water. The faster the water is moving, the more it's going to collect. So on a canister filter or a big hang-on back like an AquaClear 100 or any of the Fluval filters or Sun or AquaTop, any of those canisters, Eheim, this is what you want. If you put something like this on there, and this is what I think a lot of people's experience is, they put a pre-filter sponge and they just buy one like, it's a sponge, it'll do, it doesn't need to be big. You put this on there, and all of a sudden, every 2 days, it starts getting clogged and sucked in because there's not enough surface area, and it's a finer mesh. Or not mesh, but sponge. So you can see here, that one versus that, this one is clearly much more coarse. Now on a medium, like let's say a 20 or 30 gallon tank, you got a much smaller filter, slower flow. Something like this, you put on there, gonna last you quite a while. You put this on there, it's gonna last you forever. And in a 20 gallon tank, this seems huge. This is much more manageable. When it comes to cleaning these things, what I like to do, I don't have one here, but you get a bag, like a fish bag or a Ziploc bag, and this is on the sponge, right? You get that bag and you come up underneath it and you grab it. Then you pull it off. Then you take it out and you clean it and you wring it out and you pour out that brown poopy water and you get all that on your favorite houseplant. You kind of get another bag of water, clean it till it comes clean, put it back on there. You kept all the bacteria alive, you watered your plant with really good fertilizer, and you're running a cleaner tank. Now, right when you clean this, you might go, well, for the next 10 minutes, there was a little bit of stuff you didn't get out of this that kind of went into the water. It'll collect it back just that little bit and save you quite a bit of time. And that's the goal here. The goal is that cleaning this, let's say once every 2 weeks or once a month, it's going to keep the majority of the canister filter or the hang-on back clean. You can run bio rings, you can run fine filter pads in there, you can run carbon, you can run Purigen, all that kind of stuff. You don't want to collect a bunch of debris. You want that to do its job, which might be very fine particles, might be chemical filtration, might just be, we want to harbor a lot of bacteria, and if it gets all gunked up, we prevent that. The last thing is, and I've done this video a few times on filter optimization, hot rodding. We'll put a link to that. There is different sponges. So like this one is very, very fine. Okay? This is what we call the mini or the small. This is for like 5-gallon tanks. If you put this on something bigger, it's going to clog like every day. You read the reviews, you'll be like, it clogs every day. It's like you put it on way too small of a filter. You can't use this to filter massive filtration. It's cute, it's small, it's not gonna take up a lot of space, but it's a problem. And that's because it's really fine poured. Conversely, if you had a small one but it was crazy porous, it wouldn't collect much either. So you gotta find the right balance, and that's what we've done here in this line is, we progress from finest, not as fine, coarse, right? Now there are competitors on the market, and let me just show you why it's important that I have this made specifically for me. We paid to have the molds made. It's made to 15 PPI specification the way I want it, and there's always going to be a little variance in the foam because they mix up the batter. Basically, I call it a batter. It's mix up the chemicals, and then they inject air into it, and as those bubbles pop, that's what makes the foam, a reticulated foam. Now, there's a little bit of variance there because how hot was it that day, that type of thing. But, so let me point out one more feature. We have closed bottoms here, right? This one's a closed bottom, this one's a closed bottom. This one doesn't have one. We put a cork in there, not an actual cork, but a bottom. This one's coming. By the time you see this video, probably that's already landed because we had them make it. I've had it finally custom made, they're doing it. But what about the competitors? Either A, yeah, they just have a hole, and that's no good because water's just gonna go all the way through there. So we have a cap we put in there. Or B, they're gonna do something like this one from a competing website. You're like, oh, it's there. No, they just left half of the core in there. So they drill it all the way through, and then they stuff this back in there, and they ship it to you, right? So, the other thing I want to point out here is, you can see, these, to the untrained eye, if you couldn't see them together, right? They look fairly similar. But, one's bigger than the other. So like this one, my competitor, is more round, right? So it takes up a little bit more room in your aquarium. Not a whole lot, if we, it's not a crazy amount. But the big difference, I feel, this is meant to go on a fast hang-on back or a canister filter. Same with this one. Look at the foam difference though. This one right here, competitor, much finer. You can see a lot of the pores are closed. Much coarser, right? That's more like our medium, right? And even our medium, it's about the same. It's about a 30 ppi. If you look at our medium compared to this, it's real close. But we learned over the years of this fine gets clogged up, and when you have it be this big around, it's harder to get clean when it's this fine. If you've ever cleaned big sponge filters before, it takes forever to get them clean. In this one, you can do it so easily because the foam's not so thick. So it really does matter when you're using a product. I've been using these for over 12 years. Now, only in the last year I've had my own made. We have another one that we were using that was still better than this one because it had a full bottom and there was coarser foam, but it wasn't as great as this one. So, something I think on these prices, you're looking at like $9.99, you're looking at $4 or $3.99, and you're looking at like $3.49. So it's a one-time thing, they're reusable. Usually you're gonna get at least 5 years out of a sponge. If you're cleaning it every day and you're rinking on it, just giving it the rundown, you might only get 6 months out of it. Like, you want to be a little gentle here. You don't want to just like wring it out like a sponge. Like, that's going to break the cells down. So I don't recommend doing that. And it will save you a ton of money in cartridges or just generally what's going to go in there. It's going to make your water clear. And this itself grows its own bacteria. So it's improving filtration in 3 different ways, basically. And that's a good thing. So hopefully you're using a pre-filter. If you're not, that's probably why you're watching this video. And maybe you'll now consider it. You're going to save fish lives. You're going to save fish food. You're going to save filtration. And your tank's going to be clearer. That's a lot to happen for less than, $10 or less. So, all right, good luck.